Greetings and welcome. I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of the Leap Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher White, and we have another amazing community member today, a young lady named Hillary from the Planned Parenthood. I almost bloopered that one there. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to talking to her and sharing and hearing about Planned Parenthood and all that it has to offer our community. And with that said, I'd like to bring Hillary into the picture. Hillary, I'd like to say welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm really looking forward to talking about Planned Parenthood with you today.
Yes. I mean, it's been an important organization, I'm pretty sure, for a while. I've heard of it for a number of years living in this community. I believe want to say it was over on West Tennessee Street, the one that I kind of remember it being over there. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about Planned Parenthood, the history of it, and kind of how you got to working with them, if possible.
Sure, definitely. I don't know how much of the history you want me to go into because I could probably talk for days, but Planned Parenthood has been around since 1916. Certainly it hasn't been around in Syracuse for that long, but our first health center was in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Mm,
It was founded by a nurse named Margaret Sanger and some other people. And since then, I mean, over 100 years later, we've got 600, I think over 600 health centers
mm,
throughout the nation that are affiliated with Planned Parenthood.
right.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys first started, what was that lady's name you mentioned? The woman, her name was Ingrid, you said? Margaret.
Margaret Sanger.
Oh,
Yeah.
Margaret Sanger. So what was her vision initially for Planned Parenthood? Did it have that name initially? Was it Planned Parenthood or what?
You know, it wasn't initially Planned Parenthood. I think that there was a much heavier focus on birth control because birth control was actually illegal back then.
Mm,
And so I think a lot of that work was centered around legalization of birth control and increasing birth control access to people in the United States. Um, yeah, we're now the leading provider and advocate of sexual and reproductive health services beyond just birth control.
right.
And we're also the leaders in sex education programming.
Okay. And if it's okay to ask this question, like how are you guys funded? Like, do you guys get funding from the community? Like, is it government funded or like private? What?
Um, well, I think like most health centers, a lot of times we're billing for insurance. We certainly we get funding from the state, so New York State Department of Health funds us. They also fund our education programs.
Okay.
We do get some local support. We have donors, so a lot of different funding streams.
Okay, so that's cool. So now, can now with these health centers, as you've described them now, what is a person able to like just walk in and kind of get like what kind of like if I wanted to walk in, what kind of services would I be provided possibly?
Really, it's just whatever you're looking for. Anything that's sexual and reproductive health related.
Okay,
And so, if you were to come in and you wanted sexually transmitted infection screening
right,
or treatment, you could receive that. Um, Man, and if you didn't want to come in, a lot of times now, especially after the pandemic, um, we are offering a lot of our services through telehealth.
okay,
So if a person was apprehensive about visiting our health center, they can certainly just talk to our providers online.
right. Right. Now, one of the big things in the community in which I live that is like I would say that an area we're underserved is in like in prenatals. Now, would that be something that you guys would able to provide like information and the vitamins as well for that type of situation?
That's a really great question. And we get asked that a lot. So, a lot of times, if a person thinks that they're pregnant or if they know they're pregnant and they're coming into Planned Parenthood, we're oftentimes going to refer them out to an OBGYN who's going to be doing that sort of like prenatal, perinatal care with them. One of the like great organizations that we work closely with is Healthy Families through
Mm,
Onondaga County Health Department.
yes.
And they support folks all through their pregnancy and even after their pregnancy.
Right. Yeah. I believe I kind of worked with them to some degree at the Southwest Community Center as a community health health worker, outreach worker. And yeah, it was funded through them, and they provided a lot of different services through that program. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now, like as far as the education piece for your organization, like what is it that you guys like to come to, like schools or go to facilities, or like what kind of work do you guys do on that front, on the or the awareness front?
I mean, like you name an event or place, and we are happy to be there.
Right.
So we've partnered with a lot of middle schools and high schools. We've gone to, I think, like in the last 5.5 years that I've been with Planned Parenthood, over 50 community-based organizations, um, youth centers, churches. Um, Sometimes we're going to, I think we were just at Brighton Academy for their Light a Candle for Literacy event that they had. So we are trying to just get out, get connected, let folks know that we're here, and that we do a lot more than just sex ed and sexual and reproductive health services. We also have a diaper program.
Mm.
We also give out children's books to our patients. Yeah.
Now, in order to receive those services, they have to actually go and participate to some degree, or like, is it just once you come into like, where are some of your facilities located? If it's okay to share that information, I'm not sure.
Yeah, for sure. So we're over on East Genesee Street.
East Tennessee.
And so we're like really right down the street from the university. We kind of make jokes and like let folks know that in this winter time they can sled down to our health center. We're
Yeah.
right at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, right.
And so, that's the only Planned Parenthood health center that we have in the Syracuse area and the surrounding areas. And, like I said, if somebody's having an issue with getting over to us, we can schedule a telehealth visit. And a lot of times we can take care of whatever's going on with them right that way.
Right. Right. So now, okay, let's talk about like now when a person comes to Planned Parenthood, usually they come in and they're maybe looking to get some reproductive help. So now from there, do you guys just like refer them out, or do you like what kind of things would you do with a person just coming in, a mom, she's young, 16, she doesn't, she doesn't really know what to do. Like, can you walk us through what a hypothetical maybe of that?
Sure. So are you saying like if they're coming in maybe for another kind of appointment and they're a young parent?
Yeah, maybe they're pregnant
Um,
right now and they're coming in. Yeah, they're coming in and they're
oh,
saying, my mom doesn't know I'm pregnant. My dad, nobody knows, and I know you guys can help me. Like, how would that
sure.
work? Assuming that she wants to keep
Um,
the kid, let's assume that.
Well, I would say that like right away we would then get her or get them connected to our diaper bank. So getting them some diapers, some books and educational materials that we offer. And like I said, a lot of times it then leads to us kind of referring folks out.
Right.
If we want to sit down and do some education, I think that our nursing staff is really well versed in what resources are out in the community.
Hmm.
And also our education team can help out with that too.
Right.
Um, we partner with CNY Diaper Bank, and a lot of times they'll have some other really cool materials that we can give to parents. It's not like a constant flow because they're working by donations too, but we had a lot of pajamas for a
Right.
time. So we were giving
Right.
out pajamas. We'll also give out some breast or chest pumping materials and formula.
Okay. Now you said
So
the breast pumps. So you guys would there's a way for people to receive the breast pumps.
yeah, so if we have those donations, we can give them out. A lot of times we recommend that people will get them, you can get them for free through your insurance.
Oh.
And sometimes people don't realize that.
Right.
So, and they can be really expensive without
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah. They can.
Yeah.
Yes, they can be. No, again, and I know that it's important that kids drink like milk from their mothers. For some, I know it does a lot of beneficial things. I'm not a scientist, but I do know that it helps. So yeah, like having those, I think, for a matter of convenience would be important for moms. Yeah, definitely. So you guys provide all of those kind of wraparound services. Now, when this person comes in, do they get an assessment and then you kind of say, like, you may need, you could go here to get this kind of help. You can go here to get that kind of help, and you guys go from there.
Yes, yeah. And we actually have a peer health advocate program out of our clinic. And
Okay.
so our peer health advocates are young people who are from the community, and they will survey our patients and find out, what are your other needs? We care about your sexual and reproductive health. Certainly, that's, what folks are usually visiting our clinic for.
Right, right,
Um, but what else is going on? Are you needing transportation? How's your housing? Do you need childcare? And then from there, we're connecting them to our partners and other, resources like 211 to
right,
get them set up.
right. No, yeah, that sounds amazing. Now there was another. Now, okay, so those will be kind of included in what you guys are your current services now, right? Okay, so now we were talking off screen a little bit about the sex education part, which I kind of understand that that's a big portion of what you guys do, the sex education part. So we were talking
Yes.
about how to somewhat approach those conversations from a parent to a child perspective. Now, is that something that you guys like go out into the community and speak about and share about? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, for sure. And so, I think that a lot of folks are uncomfortable with having these conversations with young people. Or maybe they are just like, I need a little bit more information myself before I
Right,
can have this conversation. So we offer this workshop. It's called Askable Adults. And essentially, we will kind of give some tools and tricks and tips to parents on how to bring difficult conversations up, whether it's talking about your child's sexuality and sexual health, talking about relationships.
right,
We oftentimes recommend people use teachable moments. So maybe you don't want to bring this conversation up out of the blue,
right, right,
um, and just throw your kid off. But you could, be watching something on TV. And a lot of times when we're watching something on television, or watching a movie, a show, we're seeing a lot of teachable moments, or
right,
moments where you can really bring this conversation up.
right.
I see how this person is treating this other person on the show. How do you feel about that?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that parents do struggle with. Because now that I think about it, right, like me and my dad, like we never really had. Well, I grew up with my dad, but so yeah, like me and him, we never had like a conversation around sex. Like he was like, "Don't have any kids until you're 30," right? Like that was it. Like, right. And I mean, I didn't have any kids until well after I was 30, but still, it was like he was like, "Yeah, no kids until 30," but we didn't talk about like like all of those other important things that I plan to talk to my kid about, like like valuing your body and your body is yours and all of those kind of things. So I think yeah, those kind of workshops could definitely kind of help parents ease into those conversations. So like
Yeah. And I think, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I think like it also helps parents to feel more at ease when they're thinking about their child taking a sex education class in school with, say, like Planned Parenthood, or even bringing their child to us. So
Right.
maybe, they had that initial conversation with their child and they think that they'd like them to meet with an educator. We can meet with, parents, we can meet with their children one-on-one right at our health center, not in the clinic.
Right.
We have offices upstairs that are, for education,
Right. Right.
and give them some more information.
Yeah. So like what is one of the bigger things that people like what's one of the biggest things that a lot of people come to get services from you guys for? Like what's one of the biggest things if you can
I would
disclose it?
say um, the two biggest things are STI testing and treatment, or like sexually transmitted infections,
Mhm.
testing and treatment. And we also provide a lot of contraceptive options for people.
Mhm.
And, a lot of these services are free. And so we tell people, whether you have, excuse me, sorry,
No, you're fine.
whether you have insurance, maybe your insurance is a high deductible insurance, or you have no insurance at all,
Right.
still come in and we're going to figure things out for you so we can
Right.
make sure that it's affordable, if not free.
Right. Nah, and that sounds great because I think a lot of people are somewhat discouraged to go because of the high cost sometimes that could be associated with some of those services. So yeah, that's cool that they're able to get it for free. And you said this is located right on West Genesee Street, right? What's the number? I can't remember that number, but the
So
office
we're
is
over on East
East
Genesee
Genesee.
Street.
I
That's
keep saying
okay.
West.
I know, right? And it's
Yeah.
so weird because West Genesee Street turns into James Street. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't just go into East Genesee Street.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're at 1120 East Genesee Street. We're at the corner of East Genesee Street and
Hold
Walnut.
on.
And yeah, we don't right now take walk-ins.
Okay, so they'd have to
Um,
call.
they'd have to call, or if you're uncomfortable with calling, you can set something up online. One of the workshops that we do in our education programs is like really teaching kids on how to advocate for themselves and schedule appointments, because
Hmm.
we're finding that like a lot of times we'll ask them, have you ever ordered pizza for your house? Like, are you ever the person that calls to make the order? And usually the students are not the
Right.
ones, you know. And I'm like, if you're not comfortable calling and ordering a pizza, you may not be comfortable calling and
Hmm.
trying to schedule a sexual health visit, right?
Definitely right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes practice. And,
Right.
you know, we do try to provide this other option where people can set up their appointments online.
Okay, so now they will be able to go. Like say I have a 15-year-old or whatever, 16 or whatever. I could sign. Would I be able to sign them up for this, or would this be something they'd have to do of their own volition?
So, young people can schedule their own sexual and reproductive health visits. I think that that's the question you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in New York State, minors are protected by law. So they have the right to come and get, you know, confidential um, services at a sexual and reproductive health center without needing a parent or guardian there kind of like signing off on
Mm.
anything.
Yeah, I've known a lot of
So
people
this
don't
is
like
like,
that.
yeah, I know. Some parents are a little bit uncomfortable with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, However, you know, there are a lot of different relationships and
right,
circumstances that young people find themselves in,
right.
and they, you know, they still need the support.
They do,
And
they do.
yeah,
And as long as it's there, I'm glad that it's there actually, because like I wasn't aware of all the services that you provided. Obviously, you can take perception from the public's view of what you guys may do, but and not really know all of what you do. So that's why I was happy to have the opportunity to kind of share with you and understand more detailed like what you guys do, because I mean the service you're providing is essential and important to me. So yeah, thank you guys for that, and definitely thank you
thank
for
you,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you, so like now now I'm talking about like the those sex education classes. Do you guys provide those like outside of the office, or like would someone be able to say, hey, we would like you to maybe possibly run a class here, or maybe come in and speak here?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've even gone to folks' houses in certain
Hmm.
circumstances. It really all depends. If you have a group of young people, if you have, you know, one young person that you'd like to have conversations with us, or to do a workshop, we can do 1 day workshops. We can also do multiple days,
Mm,
talking about a bunch of different topics.
right,
So anything from, you know, what is an STI
right,
and how do you protect yourself? If
right,
you end up having an STI, how do you tell a partner?
right.
And so, you know,
So
yeah.
no, yeah, so like that's kind of cool. So basically, you guys are essentially like empowering people. Like that's what you're doing. You're essentially giving people the tools to empower them to be able to have difficult conversation around sensitive subjects. And I think like that's really really important for young kids, because I think about like myself when I was young and we really didn't have a lot of options of talking about a lot of this stuff, or maybe we did, I just didn't know about it possibly. But yeah, we didn't like sex ed and all of those kinds of things like STIs and the importance of it, because especially with the numbers now, like some of those numbers now are really really scary. And yeah, like that is a great service that you guys are providing. So yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, starting with education is so important. And I mean, I'll give you a little bit of background on some of the work that I've done before this. So before working in the education department at Planned Parenthood, I've worked for other organizations as, you know, an HIV and STI tester, and found that a lot of folks that were coming in for services just really didn't have those, like the foundational knowledge and how to
Right.
stay safe. And a lot of times we're prevented from coming into our clinic because of stigma.
Right.
And I think education helps to reduce stigma,
Right.
um,
Now, when
and
you say
make someone, oh, go ahead.
no, when you say stigma for you coming into the office, like could you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, I have a perception in my mind of what I think that means, but I would kind of like to hear what it means to you as a person experiencing it.
Yeah. So stigma really is just, say, a negative perception of something,
Hmm.
right? So it could be stigma around an STD status or STI
Right.
status. It could be stigma around what kind of sex you're having,
Right.
right? Stigma about relationships. There's
Right.
really a stigma in everything that has to do with sexuality.
Right.
And we really have to work on that.
Right. And that's the work you guys are doing. And that's the work you guys are doing. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that. So like all of those experiences kind of led you to this path where you currently find yourself.
Right, exactly. It made me think like where we need to start is educating young people, empowering young people to be able to advocate for themselves, to be
Right.
comfortable with coming to a health center, to know what to expect. I mean, I think about the first time ever going to a clinic as a young person
Right.
myself and how anxious I felt,
I could
not knowing
imagine.
what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that, right? Like, because I mean, you're not alone. And I think the more people hear those kinds of stories and hear other people's experiences, they'd be more willing to open up and share. And like you said, reduce the stigma, right? Reduce the ignorance really that's surrounding certain things, like you said, and not also being so judgmental about what other people decide to do with their bodies. But Hillary, I would like to thank you for coming in and sharing. If there's anything else you would like to kind of like share about or give a shout out about or share about quickly or and before we close in the next couple minutes, is there anything?
Um, sure. I'll just say if anybody is interested in having us visit their classroom or set up any kind of educational workshops, you can reach me at Hillary, Hillary, at ppcwny.org. If you wanted to reach out to an educator and you don't really want to make a phone call, you can also text us at PP Now, or you could text PP Now to 774636.
Hold on,
Um,
774 6
636.
3 6. Okay, because I'm gonna
Yeah.
add those into the video at the end. I'll add them into the subscript.
Yeah, yeah. And so if people have questions about pregnancy, birth control, emergency contraception, STDs, abortion, they can just text us and we'll give them some info.
All right. Well, thank you again, Hillary. And thank you to everyone checking out the show. I hope you really enjoyed it. And thank you again. This has been your host, Christopher White, on the Leap Lifestyle Podcast. And we will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks.